As Rush Duel continues to evolve, much like other card games, you can't help but see the power level of cards grow as well. From stronger stat lines to more effects and protections on cards, it's almost inevitable that some of them, especially the older ones, will just fall by the wayside. However, this theme refuses to go down without a fight, one that's been able to showcase their strength in both the anime and in Duel Links, now revived with a deadly vengeance. That's right, I'm talking about the leader of the Woolly Wonderworld herself, Miss Mutton. Hello everyone, my name is Protagonist, you can call me Protag, and I'm back with another episode of Rush Review. This is a series where I go over decks and themes to help introduce them to people who might want to learn about Rush, or for those who might want to try something new. Miss Mutton's original deck revolves around her and her beast-type normal monsters to get activations of her spell and trap cards. However, now it's a bit different. While Miss Mutton is still a key piece of the deck, we begin to unfold some of the darker secrets and stronger monsters as we continue our descent into the Woolly Wonderworld below. We have a huge herd to field, so let's jump right into it with the star of the show, Princess of the Flock, Miss Mutton. This level 7 normal monster is nothing scary by itself, but we will reveal her secret soon enough. The other normal monsters in the Woolly Wonderland are the sheep yokai, the yukai, who associate with her. We actually have one for each attribute. Night Mutton, Pyro Wool, Thunder Ramda, Aqua Sheep, Air Aries, and Ground Mutton. However, some of these attributes do have effect monsters as well. Starting with Dark, we have Woolly Wonderland Shadow Mary. If you have a face-up normal beast on your field, mill 3 cards and you can add a Gateway to the Woolly Wonderworld from your grave to the hand. Since Gateway to the Woolly Wonderworld is your main way of fusing your monsters, it's going to be important that you have this card on hand. Play New looks to see if you have a face-up normal beast on your field. Then you can send a Meet and Greed or Woolly Wonderland Graveyard Grudge from the grave to the spell and trap zone. If you have a Miss Mutton on the field, you can also gain 600 life points. If you have Miss Mutton in your grave, Woolly Wonderland Fluffy lets you discard 1 and you can either add back Miss Mutton to the hand or special summon her onto the field. Wave Shoff needs you to mill 1 and you gain 200 life points. If you have 3 or more normal beasts with different attributes in the grave, you're able to special summon Miss Mutton from your grave to the field. But we can't forget about one of the biggest additions to the herd, Super Princess of the Flock, Max Mutton. That's right, Miss Mutton finally gets her maximum monster, one that's been teased since its appearance in the anime. Starting with the left piece, by discarding 2 cards from your hand, you're able to inflict piercing damage with this card. If you're in maximum mode, you also gain 1000 attack and can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Finally, some proper protection for this princess. On the right side, you can just add a normal beast, Meet and Greed, or Beaming Bell Beam from your grave to your hand. If you're in maximum mode, you can add up to 3 of these to your hand instead. That's some really good card recovery right there. And last but not least is the centerpiece. By sending a Meet and Greed or Beaming Bell Beam from your hand to the grave, you can destroy a card on your opponent's field. And here's the cherry on top. All 3 cards become Miss Mutton while in the grave, meaning they can be retrieved by any cards that specify her name in the text. So in an ideal situation, you can maximum summon Max Mutton, use the right piece to get 3 cards, use the left to discard 2 and go up to 5000 attack and gain protection, and then use the center to destroy a monster. Like, what a combo. However, all good things must come to an end, as the sheep are guided down towards the Wonderworld, becoming new monsters to play. Using our Miss Mutton, combined with 2 normal beasts, becomes Royal Princess of the Woolly Wonderworld, Miss Mutton. This level 9 monster boasts incredible attack, but little protection. So bring her out when you're sure you can hit really hard. Thankfully, she isn't alone, as the sheep will provide whatever assistance they can. As of now, each Wonderworld counterpart needs 2 of the same overworld sheep to make their fusion. Change Woolly Wonderworld Aqua Sheep from attack to face-up defense, and then you can place a monster on your opponent's field to the bottom of their deck. Ground Mutton has the continuous effect of not being able to attack, but if it's in defense position, it can't be destroyed by battle. If you have a face-up Miss Mutton or Wonderworld Miss Mutton on your field, they gain 700 attack and piercing. Pyro Wool is a normal monster with a whopping 3000 attack. That's it. But it is a level 7 monster, so there could be some synergies there with some of the other cards. And if you change Thunder Ramda from attack to face-up defense, you can destroy up to 2 of your opponent's spell or trap cards. With all that said and done, there's a lot of sheep to think about. However, don't fall asleep yet, because there's still the back row that we have to cover. Join the Meet and Greed by discarding 2 cards, and now a face-up normal beast on your field can attack 3 times this turn. If you have a Miss Mutton on the field, all your opponent's face-up effect monsters lose 500 attack as well. Back then, this was basically your finisher card. Being able to swing with your Miss Mutton, especially on an open board, would mean the end to most opponents. Beaming Bell Beam can activate if you have a Miss Mutton face up on your field and you send 2 normal beasts from your hand to the grave. Then you can destroy all face up level 8 or lower monsters on your opponent's board, but you are locked into attacking with beasts for the rest of the turn. The activation requirements are pretty strict here, but if you can get it off, then hey, that's a pretty good board wipe. By sending a normal beast from your hand to the grave, Miss Mutton's Flocking Fan Mail allows you to draw 2 cards. Then if you set Miss Mutton to the grave as the requirement, you can special summon a level 4 or lower normal beast from your grave face up to the field. This is going to be your best source of thematic card draw here. Like being able to send your Miss Mutton to the grave to activate any extra effects, plus being able to draw 2 is really good value. And finally, we can descend through the gateway to the Woolly Wonderworld. Send a face-up beast monster from your field to the grave. Then you can fusion summon a dark beast with 1600 defense by shuffling beasts from your field and or grave back into the owner's deck as material. Like I mentioned before, this is your main fusion spell here, giving you easy access to all of your fusion monsters. Sharp-eyed duelists might recognize what this is based on, but Exchange of the Meeg can activate when your opponent draws a card while you have 15 or more beasts in your grave. Send your whole hand to the grave and shuffle all the cards from all the graveyards into their respective owners' decks. Then you can draw a card and show it. If it's a level 7 beast, you can special summon it onto the field face up. This is a weird card. While useful in the long game, it feels hard to get that second half of the effect off. But hey, welcome back, Exchange of the Spirit. Woolly Wonderland Graveyard Grudge activates when an opponent's monster declares an attack targeting your attack position normal beast. Mill 4 cards, and that attacking monster loses 2000 attack for the turn. Then you can add up to 4 of those mill cards back to your hand. And lastly, when your opponent normal or special summons a monster, activate Woolly Wonderland Nap Time to mill 3 and change your opponent's face-up monsters to face-down defense, equal to the total number of beast-type maximums and normal beasts sent to the grave by this effect. This is a really nice trap card to have. Being able to mill cards and interrupt your opponent is a very nice combo. But now that we've gone through the sheep, let's see what other animals came to play with them. For legend monsters, your usual ones will work fine, but since we are dealing with beasts, you can also run Behemoth, the king of all animals. You can tribute summon this card in attack position by tributing just 1 monster, but if you do, its attack only becomes 2000. But on the turn that you do normal summon with this card, you can add beasts from your grave equal to the number of monsters used as tribute for its summoning. This means you can easily retrieve your Miss Mutton or maximum pieces for whatever you want to do next. Paku Pakuchu is a reliable little guy as well. If you have no other monsters on your field, place a beast from your grave to the bottom of the deck. Then you can add a normal beast from your grave to the hand. Your obvious main target is Miss Mutton, but if you need to, you could get the other normal sheep as well. Balloon Batia is a really good staple here as well since you have a lot of good targets for her. On a turn that you haven't special summoned a monster, send the top 2 cards of your deck to the grave. Then you can special summon a level 6 or lower monster from among the cards sent. This can easily give you tribute material for your Miss Mutton, or turn on the ability to fusion summon by using Gateway. Great Tusked Mammoth, on the turn that you normal summon this card and you mill 1, lets you prevent the activation of effects from your opponent's level 4 or lower monsters for the rest of their next turn. A solid enough pseudo floodgate that could see some play. Night Before the Big March can also be used since it has some synergy. By revealing a level 7 or higher beast monster in your hand, you can then excavate the top 3 cards of your deck and special summon up to 2 level 4 or lower excavated beasts onto your field in face down defense. The other cards just go to the grave. And for some basic back row removal, Rage of the Beast is always there for you. As long as you have 2 or more face-up beast or beast warrior monsters on your field, you can destroy an opponent's spell or trap card. Then you can shuffle a field spell from your grave back into the deck. Now, Calling Dark Meteor is already a good card mainly for its first effect. By shuffling 2 monsters from your grave into the deck, you can destroy a spell or trap card on your opponent's field. That's great and all, but there is a secondary effect as well. You're then able to special summon a Dark or Fire attribute non-effect fusion monster from your grave face up to the field. While most decks don't have a monster that fits those criteria, Miss Mutton actually does. Both the Royal Princess and Pyro Wolf fusions are able to be revival targets, maximizing the effectiveness of this card. And since we are running Calling Dark Meteor, it kinda just makes sense that we should run Red Eyes Pluto Wyvern as well. Mill a card and you can make an opponent's face-up effect monster lose 300 attack for the turn. Then you can add a Red Eyes Pluto Dragon or Calling Dark Meteor from your grave to the hand. It's just a good way to recycle your back row removal when you don't have too much of it. And sometimes, if you can't make Miss Mutton, or if you don't have materials in the grave for your fusions, another good way to make that happen is with Jewel Tusk Ritual. You can ritual summon Rabiul Ivory by sending monsters from your hand to the grave whose total levels equal 6 or more as material. When you do special summon a monster this way, your opponent can't activate trap effects. And let's be honest, Rabiul Ivory is a pretty strong card too. On the main phase, you special summon this card with 2 or more monsters as materials, you get to draw 2 cards. Keep in mind though that not every 2-card combination of normal monsters will let you make the ritual, but it's still a solid pick to have when you might not have other options. Alright, so here's the deck list we're working with today. As you can see, this is a more fusion-focused deck, and that's just because I didn't really like how the maximum played. Starting off, we are running 3 copies of every normal except for Ground Mutton. That's just because I needed to make space for some of the other cards I wanted to add, and I just figured that Ground Mutton just didn't have enough that, we could have replaced with something else. And so, speaking of, we have cards like Behemoth as our legend monster, but as you can see, we are running some Animagica monsters. Animagica shooters here to, flip some cards from defense to attack or attack to defense and maybe destroy something, but it'll help us get through the dreaded, set 3 pass. We are running the left piece of the maximum monster for Miss Mutton, and that's because it does have piercing, and it's another Miss Mutton name for the fusions. Other than that, we are running Shadow Mary, 2 Animagica Knights because I really like the protection that it gives, and let's see, yes, we have Animagica Gardener here as well. This is just because it's really good utility, and I like being able to bring back the shooter, or, if I need a Miss Mutton to activate things like Fan Mail, then it's really good to have in hand. Other than that, we are running some removal, only the 3 fusions, and yeah, that's it. And let's run into some games and see how they do. The first duel is going to be against what I can, call Ritual Slop. I go first using Fan Mail to pitch Miss Mutton and draw nothing good, so I set 2 and play Pyro Wool to activate Shadow Mary to mill some cards. My opponent Batias and gets Lenoir and makes Dark Magician, which then gets used to make Veteran Gaia, who's then able to make Dark Cavalry. They set 1 and remove the Mary, which is the right choice. I activate Gesture to clear the board and have another Mary to mill some more, still not hitting any gateways. I just flip Ramda to face up and go for face. On their turn, they go Legend Magician and get nothing, but then summon Beaver to get Griffor, and I had to Torrential Tribute here to prevent any rituals from happening. This thankfully forces them to set 2 and pass. I get lucky here and hit the 50-50 with Calling Dark Meteor to remove their trap. Then I play Aqua Sheep and Shadow Mary, who still doesn't hit, but I do have a gateway in hand to make the Royal Princess and play Knight for some extra protection. It's enough though, because they surrender in front of the board. The next duel is against 54-card Grace Princess Ritual. They start with Grace Kamiyoki using the Fashion of Fate to get Ever Grace Princess Kana and set 2 pass. I Graceful to send Miss Mutton and Ramda to the grave, Batia hits nothing, but then I have more than enough then to use Calling Dark Meteor to destroy a back row card. Then Pluto Wyvern mills 1 and then recycles that Calling Dark Meteor for me to use again to remove the other back row. The mill did give me another Miss Mutton in the grave so that I can use Aqua Sheep and both Miss Muttons to make Royal Princess and clear the board. Grace Princess Hina revives the Kana ritual and then my opponent summons Kana on the Sword Diva to get buffed. Kamiyoki activates again to make a second Kana and then they remove 2 of my weaker cards. This was great because now I can Calling Dark Meteor again to remove the trap and now Pluto debuffs and retrieves my Dark Meteor again. I use 2 monsters to make Behemoth and use its ability to bring back Batia and Ramda. Ramda comes out to be used to summon Animagica Shooter, and that gives me 2 monsters in the grave to activate Calling Dark Meteor again to remove the last back row. Shooter turns the defense Kana to attack, and I empty the field. Shape of Aqua gets played to summon Hina, Hina brings back Kana, and then they Kamiyoki to make a second Kana. They clearly didn't have anything else, so it was just time for me to whittle them down and end it with Royal Princess. GG's. Overall, these decks really aren't it. While it's cool that we continue to get support for Miss Mutton even after all this time, still needing all of these normal monsters that could potentially brick you is really hard to justify playing. On the other hand, you could deal a ton of damage quickly with the right fusion monsters, which is nice, but it's just not as consistent as you would hope. And like, the maximum might be useful, but it suffers from the same issue that most of the other maximum decks have. There's just no good way to reliably get the maximum out. While you can just play the pieces as 2500 attack beaters, it's just not enough against most decks out there nowadays. What I think the deck needs is not to be so reliant on the normals. But if only there was some upcoming support that could help Beast in any way. But that's it for today's Rush review. This honestly would have come out sooner, but I took a week or so to play some Digimon Story Time Stranger, and that was super fun for my very first Digimon game. So anyway, thank you so very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like down below, and if you want to see more, subscribe to the channel. Please comment on what other decks you might want to see for a Rush review, and I will see you all next time. Peace.